Hey, Crazy Gamer fans, another update on the electronic night here. So, here's what we got going on. I built the leg sections of the Knight Valiant. As you can see, they go on like that. Very simple like that. And I've done some calculations on kind of drew some calculations on some different things on running the wires up the legs. And this is the wire I'm using. It's a little over a millimeter in diameter. It's single core wire. It's great for hooking up with Adrenos and microcontrollers and things like that. And I've done some calculations that I can make a 4 millimeter hole in the bottom of the foot that will go into the ball of this leg. I haven't glued them together yet. In the ball of this leg, and then it will come out, it will come up through here, and there will be two 3 millimeter holes, one on each side of this alignment pin. You can see that alignment pin there. There's going to be a 3 millimeter hole on either side that two wires will feed through. There'll be 4 wires coming up through the foot, and then they'll come up through this lower leg joint, and 2 will come through each 3 millimeter hole, and then there will be a corresponding 3 millimeter hole in 2 spots on this adjacent to the alignment pins, and they will line up so this one goes like that, and they will feed up into here out a 4 millimeter hole in the center of the hip joint here, and then that will correspond to a 4 millimeter hole. And this, I could have made this hole larger, but I chose not to. I wanted to make it as small as possible, so I still have the alignment tab on the hip. I want to try to not make this fall apart as I'm putting it together, because these holes need to be made before the Castellan Knight, the pieces are even glued together. But I used these, basically I mocked these up from the Valiant to get the diameters of the maximum diameter holes that I could have in there and things like that. And in this one, at the base of the ball joint here that goes into the leg, that has to be a 4 millimeter hole in the bottom of the ball, but in this section here it's too narrow, so I'm actually going to make a 2 millimeter by 2 millimeter channel, which will give me roughly this enough to get the 4 wires through. So that basically means there'll be 4 wires going through each leg, so it gives me 8 wires in total to play with. I know that I need 2 wires to run the I2C display, the OLED display, and then 2 wires for power to go up, and then the power for the OLED can come directly off the batteries. And so that gives me that's total of 4 wires, so that covers one leg. And I may end up doing like a recharging circuit or a voltage regulator or things like that I can use the other leg and the other 4 wires for. So I also may run 2 sets of power up, so I can have, because I plan on, most likely it's going to be 2 18650 batteries, which is about 7.4 volts. And I want to be able to have, I need 3.3 volts at the OLED, but I want the 7.4 volts at the microcontroller, so I can power more LEDs. Basically, I want to be able to power more LEDs in the exhaust, and also blue LEDs for the plasma weapons. So that's basically how I'm planning on doing it. I'm going to put just a simple buck converter module in just one of these little buck converter modules, either buried on the base with the batteries and the OLED, and then I can have the 3.3 volts coming off the battery to go into the OLED, and then I can have the 7.4 volts going up to the Arduino to another regulator, to where I can have the 5 volts for the Arduino Nano, and also have extra power for the servo and for the LEDs I want to have in it. So it does add another component to the circuit with these little converters, DC to DC converters. This is just an LM2596. It's adjustable. I do have smaller modules that can just supply 5 volts. They're not adjustable. This one happens to be adjustable, so I'm probably going to get a smaller unit that will give me 3.3 volts, and then one that will give me 5 volts. And then I'll have 7.4 volts throughout to run other aspects of the electronics on the night, because I'm going to have a little bit of sound, things like that. Plus, I also need to run the buttons through to the unit. I'm not sure. I'm going to need at least 2 wires for the buttons. So basically, I'm at my 8-wire max. At this point, I'm going to try to be able to squeeze 5 wires in each leg, but I won't know if I'm able to do that until I actually hollow out leg sections from the Castellan and start running the wires, which that will be at a later date. But currently, as it stands, I know I can get 8 wires up each leg, or 4 up each leg, 8 wires in total, and that'll basically run the basics of what, it'll run the life counter on the display, it'll run the LEDs, it'll run the little servo in the hip and things like that. So that's about it for this update. It's a short one. Sorry I don't have more of the Valiant built. I just wanted to show it in individual pieces so you see that there's plenty of room in these Knights to tuck in electronics. Even in this hip section, I could fit a small voltage regulator very easily, and you wouldn't even know it's in there with the cap on it. There's a lot of hollow space in these Knights to hide things. So for Crazy Gamer Games, I'm the Crazy Gamer. You guys have a great day.